Hello guys, it's me again. Uh, I think the matchmaking this season is absolutely horrible. To the point where I can pretty consistently drop anywhere from 50 to 60 limbs, basically never die, over the course of 10 minutes and just lose. Especially on DPS, this role does absolutely nothing. But it of course applies to the other roles too. I've had many games on all of the roles where it feels like I quite literally couldn't do more. I feel like you could put the greatest player on planet Earth in my position and they would still struggle to win, if not even just guarantee the loss anyway. So that's how the season's been going for me, and I know that's how the season has been going for a lot of other people too, because I've been watching it in the coaching vods. I'll be watching someone. I'll go, okay, this guy's a plat player per se, but he's infinitely better than everyone in his lobby. And then I'll watch like 5 codes from him, and he's way better than everyone in the lobby for all 5 games. And I'm like, maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe they're ego vods. I don't know. But it is weird. A lot of people seem a lot lower ranked than they should be, and a lot of people seem a lot higher ranked than they should be. It's pretty common to load into these games, especially in top 500, which is like low masters right now. So I'll be like position 300 or something, and I'll queue into these masters games, and like you could genuinely convince me that my teammates were plat and the enemy team were GM players, and I would absolutely believe you. And then you could give me games where you could tell me the enemy team had never played the game before, and I would absolutely believe you as well. And it just seems like complete random chance where you don't really know if you're going to get the worst players of all time on your team or the best players of all time on your team, and it feels completely random. Ranked, as of right now, doesn't exactly feel like the most predictive experience when it comes to whether or not a game will be of quality to the rank that you're in, which a lot of the cases, or a lot of the time it should be. You should be able to queue into a Masters game and go, yeah, my teammates are going to play like Masters players. You should be able to queue into a GM game and say, you know what, I expect my teammates to play like GM players. However, it seems though it's pretty common to be able to queue into these games and go, yeah, he's just plat. Like, I don't know, he just plays like a plat player. It is what it is, right? And there's really just not a lot that you can do in those situations where if you've just got a teammate who's kind of trolling, then you've got a teammate who's kind of trolling. Now, I don't want to say it's engineered. I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist here. I'm not going to say, Blizzard is forcing a 50-50 win rate or anything crazy like that. However, I will say it does feel as though it's a little bit rigged. I'm not going to lie. Like, call me crazy or whatever, but I feel like I might be the only top 500 player that is pretty consistently saying the matchmaking feels pretty rigged, because I'll have sometimes where I'll maybe on a diamond account, for example, where diamond is obviously diamond's a pretty good rank, but it's not GM. It's not even remotely close. It's like especially low GM, but like especially high GM. Like a diamond lobby is simply not going to compete with a GM lobby. However, there's times where I'll queue into these diamond lobbies and it feels as though there is quite literally nothing I can do. Nothing. It genuinely does not matter how many people I kill, how much attention I take, how much space I make. None of it matters. It feels like I was forced into this game with the only reason of I need to lose. Therefore, it gives me the worst teammates of all time. Now, I understand that, over the course of a long period of games, you are likely to get experiences like that, which is why I'm not saying it's engineered, right? Obviously, with the way the game works, you're naturally just going to get a game where some of your teammates are having a bad game, and it is what it is, and the enemy team are having a good game, and it just feels like it's uncarryable, and that's just how the game works, right? It's not necessarily the game's fault, it's just how life is, I guess. It's just how it is sometimes. So I'm not saying it's absolutely rigged. I'm not saying someone at Blizzard is like orchestrating a 50-50 win rate thing. I'm not saying that's what it is. But I am saying the matchmaking absolutely is broken and needs to be fixed. I'm tired of having DPS in my game that are like 8 and 15. I'm tired of supports in my game locking Mercy Moira and dying once every 30 seconds, or perma heal botting the tank and doing nothing, never damage boosting anything. I'm tired of my tank thinking he's the Terminator and pinning in 1v5 and just committing suicide every fight. I just want a game that people actually have at least a minimal understanding of what they're doing, because as of right now, it feels as though you could genuinely convince me that every rank from bronze to GM, it's just full of gold players. I feel like everyone is gold. Whereas sometimes you'll queue into these Masters games and go, wow, that guy's fucking crazy. He deserves to be a higher rank. And you check his stats, you go, oh shit, he's got 45% win rate. How the fuck does that happen, right? And then you look at another guy, we're like, this is the biggest troll I've ever seen, 68% win rate. You're like, what exactly is happening? Maybe he's just having a bad game. Could absolutely be it. But it also could just be the fact that the matchmaking is completely broken and doesn't make any sense. Now, I think I've got two running theories as to what's going on. One of them is a little crazy, and one of them is a little more grounded in reality. So I'll start with a realistic one. I genuinely think the matchmaking is just a little fucked this season. The rank reset might have broke it a bit, and because it messed with everyone's ranking placements, it's kind of thrown everyone into some different ranks. You get some Masters players in Plat and Diamond and GM. You'll get some Plat players in Diamond and Masters. You get some Gold players in Silver to Diamond. You know, it's just kind of random with the placements. If you've got lucky in your placements, you'll be a higher rank. You got unlucky in your placements, you'll be a lower rank. And when every single player is affected by that, all the ranks are kind of broken. It takes quite a long time for everyone to make it back to where they were, because obviously it takes a really, really long time to move around and rank in this game. So it's going to take a couple of seasons maybe. Could be something like that, which seems like the most realistic thing I can imagine is what happened. I can't really see it being anything else. But 10 for what you came for, 10 for the conspiracy theory. Here it is. I think the matchmaking, you know, let's say that my conspiracy theory is true, then I'll explain it. I think the matchmaking isn't necessarily rigged. I think that what it does is, for example, let's say you have a hidden MMR. Now, this isn't absolutely guaranteed. I know in the earlier seasons it did work off in a hidden MMR, and then they said that they changed it. But we're gonna act like for a second they didn't, so we can make a conspiracy. Anyway, let's say you have a hidden MMR rating of the old SR system, so 0 to 5,000. And then let's say that your hidden MMR is 4,000, but your actual rank is Diamond. So your actual rank is 3,000 SR, but your hidden MMR is 4,000. Then, let's say you queue into this Diamond lobby, and it needs to find a Diamond lobby with the display ranking of Diamond, where the team's hidden MMR is of equal rating to make an equal game. So your game, you would be 4,000, but to make the game more balanced, it would make your teammates, say, 2,500 MMR or 2,000 MMR. Whereas to make the enemy team more balanced, it may be 3,100 MMR, 3,200 MMR, where the game is intentionally giving you lower rated teammates on the MMR ladder in order to make up for the fact that you have a higher MMR to make the team more balanced, which is why a lot of the time, maybe that's why your teammates are terrible. Now, why do I believe that? Well, I don't. I just like crazy theories. And I think that would be not necessarily a good theory as to why it's broken, but it would be able to explain why a lot of the issues are occurring, where generally speaking, the only people affected by this are better players. I very rarely see bad players talking about the fact that they're getting broken matchmaking. The only people generally getting broken matchmaking are the people who are obviously dropping 50 limbs a game, are basically never dying, are winning consistent 1v3s, are making tons of space, are playing the game to a much higher level, yet are still in a low rank. Those tend to be the players that are saying something's a bit broken here, and not the lower rated players, because they obviously don't know what's going on, because they're just playing the game. As for me, I'm just kind of tired of the matchmaking quality being as bad as it is. I don't really understand why it's as bad as it is. It was okay for a while. I don't know why. I would assume it's the rank reset just completely broke it. But I have no idea. I might be the only consistently high-ranked player that talks about the matchmaker being completely fucked. It's like I'm the only one that talks for the golds and the plats and the diamonds. Now I get it. Some people obviously will. But, you know, I'm just looking for a balanced game. I'm looking for a competitive game. I want the gold players to strive to hit top 500. I want the top 500 players to have to fight to keep their ranking. You know, I want the rank system to actually make sense. I want the game to be competitively viable. But as of right now, it's not. You have things in the game like Diva that completely break the game. Like, the game is so simplified to the point where gold players are now affected by meta. I mean, think about it in Overwatch 1, right? You could queue into an Overwatch 1 game, and let's say you're a gold player, if you tried to play meta, you would still get absolutely shit stomped by people who just played their heroes. They knew how to play their heroes. Because playing the meta characters was too complex. Playing as a team with the meta characters was too complex for that rank. However, now today, you have silver players that are locking Diva, running lobbies. You have silver players that are playing Ashe, Reaper, Tracer, Sombra, things like this, these crazy comps that actually take a lot of skill to play, but don't anymore because the heroes are so simplified. Where it doesn't, genuinely is completely irrelevant what ranking you're in. The meta heroes are still absolutely crazy because that's just how the game is now. The game is so accessible to the point where it actually is irrelevant whether you are a high rank player or a low rank player or a high skill player or a low skill player. As long as you pick the meta character, you're an egregious advantage because the meta character is so easy to play now, which is a big issue when it comes to competitive viability, because it means no longer is there a big steep learning curve when it comes to actually requiring the ability to play these meta heroes and to gain the advantage from being able to pick them. Now, you simply just pick them and you get a default stat advantage. Instead of it being like, okay, you have to use this thing properly or whatever, you no longer have to do that. You just have to pick the right character and you're at an advantage by default, which I think is really stupid. But that's just kind of how the meta is right now, especially with characters like Sombra that obviously everyone hates, where especially in the low ranks, you just kind of like look at the Sombra and she loses, but no one really knows how to do that, and it's kind of difficult to 1v1 a Sombra. Like, even when I'm playing in like Masters, if my team aren't gonna help me peel the Sombra and I'm playing support or something, or unless I'm playing like Baptiste or something, dude, I can get my shit absolutely rocked by an even lower ranked Sombra player. So I understand the pain of these lower ranked players that complain about Sombra, because I don't like her either. But anyway, I guess the point of this video is just to go over the fact that ranked is broken. You know, if you're a gold player or a plat player or like a diamond player or even like a Masters or a GM player and you're thinking the matchmaking's fucking broken, why is no one talking about it, like I'm annoyed by this, well then I'm just here to say that, you know, don't worry, I'm here, I understand. You know, I'm not gonna be like the fucking other people that are like, you're the only common factor in your games, so you should be able to win every game because you're the one in all of your games, and you should just be able to win because you're the common factor. So if you're losing, it must be your fault. Like, I'm not an idiot. That's obviously not exactly true. It's true to some degree, but not to the degree that a lot of people say. A lot of people just like ego check, like I'm top 500 because I'm just cracked as hell, which is objectively false because Bastion Main can be top 500 and he is an interesting player to say the least. Anyway, I stand with the golds, I stand with the plats. The matchmaking is fucked, it is broken, and it is rigged. You're not crazy, you're not alone. I'm here with you, I agree. Anyway, by the way, I lost this game. I was 50-3, I lost. So, you know, the game's the game. Well, goodbye, guys, I love you. Mwah, mwah. Goodbye. Mwah, 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 mwah. Goodbye.